Okay, so today I'm going to do the story of the Amityville Horror, but the true story. The Amityville Horror, those words were actually trademarked by George Lutz, who was one of the owners of the houses that these strange things happened to. I'm going to clarify very specific things that the priest who came to the house said, and many other people, and also I'm going to talk about speculation, but I'm going to give you the facts here. The Amityville Horror is a horrific family murder that was committed in a Long Island house at 112 Ocean Avenue, but it is also a place of documented demonic possession. And of course, they made already a loosely based movie, numerous ones, on these real events. On November 13th, 1974, Ronald Defoe, a 23-year-old man, shot and killed 6 of his family members that lived in the same home. There was speculation that maybe his sister and himself planned the murders, and then last minute Ronald decided to also murder his sister. There was also speculation that there was more than one murder weapon, and I want to be quite clear here that I'm going to use all my notes because there are so many specifics here, I don't want to get anything wrong. The family lived in a Dutch colonial house located in Amityville, Long Island, New York. Ronald Defoe was caught pretty quickly and had a trial that lasted about 7 weeks. He was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 6 terms of 25 years to life in prison. Ronald actually died in prison in March of 2021. The next owners of the house purchased the house at a great price, $86,000. George and Kathy Lutz moved in with their 3 children and dog Harry. Sorry about that, that was $80,000. The dog was a Malamute Labrador mix. It really doesn't matter for the story, but I want to be very specific. 28 days later, the Lutzes left the house claiming to have suffered severely from paranormal events. The house had actually been vacant for 13 months after the Defoe murders. The house has 5 bedrooms, a swimming pool, a boathouse, and all the children were under the age of 9. George and Kathy were not bothered by the history of the house and thought it was a dream come true. The Lutz family moved in December of 1975. Much of the original furniture still remains in the house, and George's friend, knowing the history of the house, indicated that it should be blessed. George was a non-practicing Methodist and Kathy a non-practicing Catholic. Father Ralph J. Pecoraro was a family friend, judge of the Catholic court, and a psychotherapist. Father Pecoraro arrived when the Lutzes were unpacking. At the first instant of spraying holy water and praying, Father Pecoraro heard a strong masculine voice say, "Get out." The priest left and did not mention the incident to the couple, but he told them to stay out of the second-floor room where he had heard the voice and where Kathy planned to make a sewing room. But the priest had called the house by phone, and every time the call would get disconnected and nothing but static. Upon the priest's return to the rectory, he developed a high fever and red marks all over his hands. And not to say anything bad about the priest, because this is a Catholic priest who came to help these people, but the facts are it kind of sounds like the priest was afraid and he didn't really want to get too involved or push it. The priest during any exorcism can actually become possessed himself. That's the risk that they run. So this is very important to keep all these facts in mind, that the priest is also human as well. And this case has such demonic possession attached to it. There's so many things here. George and Kathy describe their own experiences as, quote, they were each living in a different house, end quote. George and Kathy then tried to do their own blessing, praying at each room, when they experienced the house shaking and later beds levitating. The Lutzes could not even bring themselves to describe in detail some of the occurrences, but Kathy did remark that every time her one daughter would go into one particular room, she would start singing, and when she left, like clockwork, she would spontaneously stop singing. George also described one night where he found out his daughter had a friend that would appear to her as a pig, and he actually witnessed some of this one night when he went to the boathouse. He was outside of the house. On his way back, he looked up in his daughter's window and he saw a figure. Not good. After a while, they decided to take some belongings and stay with Kathy's mother, yet the strange supernatural phenomena followed them as well. The Lutzes claimed something appeared to be like greenish black slime oozing from the walls. On January 14th, 1976, the Lutz family left the home, but while there, George seemed to comb his hair and dress a lot like the previous people that lived there. They would see faces in the fireplace, and George would go into trances that worried his wife Kathy very much. After they left, a mover that had to move some of their furniture reported he experienced nothing unusual. Now, some say the Lutzes invented these stories to get fame and fortune, but the Lutzes actually took a major hit. They lost their life savings, they lost money on the house, and fled clear across the country and resettled. Father Pecoraro, who was slapped in the face by an invisible force, was interviewed by the show In Search Of. You might remember this. Spock did this from the old show with Kirk, Star Trek, where he stated what happened and that he believed some objects of the Long Island home were indeed possessed. There was also speculation among some historical records that prior to the house being built, the land used to house some Native American insane patients and those deemed mentally ill that were left to die. The Indians denied this, the Indians that were left from that tribe. Jim and Barbara Cromartie bought the house for $55,000 in March 1977. Some also speculated that the strange occurrences happened only after George was involved with seances and his obsession of the occult that increased as time went on and as he lived at the murder house, and they were only living there for a couple of weeks. The Red Room was a small closet-looking area located in the basement of the home. One day when Kathy was cleaning, she noticed a shelf was pushed in front of this little opening, and she discovered this Red Room that the realtors never mentioned to her, and I've seen the interview where she speaks of this. Even stranger is the fact that the family dog was terrified to go downstairs anywhere near this Red Room. No amount of coaxing could get the dog to come downstairs. This Red Room is believed to be where Ronald Defoe might have done some satanic practices. Now, there were various lawsuits and attacks launched against the Lutzes, claiming they invented the whole story. In June of 1979, George and Kathy took a polygraph test that were performed by 2 of the top 5 polygraph experts in the United States. The results indicated that the Lutz family was definitely not lying. Various owners since 1976 have publicly denied any further phenomena. The address of the murder house was eventually changed from 112 Ocean Avenue to 412 Ocean Avenue, and a duplicate of the house was made elsewhere to film several Amityville horror movies. After authorities denied access, Ocean Avenue 112 still stands to this day and has had numerous owners. It is very close to the street and some 50 feet of other houses. There were numerous lawsuits, including one where George Lutz kills the family dog in the movie with an axe. Well, George didn't like that one, and the case was dismissed, but many things remained unresolved by the time George died. Daniel Lutz, stepson of George Lutz, was later interviewed and revealed that him and his father George were in fact possessed, that George demonstrated telekinetic power and vehemently suggested that his stepfather, dabbling in the occult, may have been tied to the paranormal events. Kathy Lutz died in 2004 of emphysema, and George died in 2006 of heart disease. They divorced in the late 80s but remained good friends. No doubt that this probably put a major strain on their marriage. Ed and Lorraine Warren investigated the murder house at 112 Ocean Avenue and believed it to be possessed. A picture taken supposedly showed a demonic boy with glowing eyes. The house has since been renovated and the famous quarter-round windows were removed. 112 Ocean Avenue is actually not even that old. It was built in 1924 for John and Catherine Moynihan. Amityville residents do not like the macabre attention that is attached to their town, and no member of its town's historical society would discuss its history on camera. In August 2010, the house was sold to a local for $950,000, and then on August 21st, 2010, the departing owner held a moving sale where many turned up to see the house, but were not allowed to visit the upstairs or the basement. How interesting that the owner, it's only days and he's already departing. So you tell me, what do you think? I've seen the interview with the priest, and he does indeed say that he was there and that he did have a demonic encounter. Let me know in the comments your thoughts. Anybody who wants to put any other facts in that they may have known as speculation, things that they have heard, or any other interviews that they've heard, I'd be really interested to know, because this is a very interesting case, and many people have also wondered why other Catholic priests have never gotten involved and why the house wasn't even either destroyed or why an exorcism never actually really took place to take care of this once and for all these crazy thrill seekers. Let me know in the comments your thoughts, like my videos, and subscribe to my channel Remote-Backroad-Jungles with a dash in between each, and my link is www.youtube.com/hiddenaoasis-secret-pathfinder. I hope you enjoyed my videos. I hope you found it informative, and until next time, I hope that you will find many of my other videos interesting, and I look forward to seeing you next time.